Today we're going to talk about Django Unchained, the latest Quentin Tarantino film, which you asked me to see for purposes of this show. I didn't really want to see it because I'm not really that big a fan. We've discussed why. I don't think he's a very disciplined filmmaker. However, I was pleasantly surprised by this. I really did like the film. I thought it told a good linear story. I thought it was funny in scenes. There were two scenes, of course, you and I talked about before, which I think were horrific, which were too violent for me. One was the scene with the Mandingos fighting each other, and ultimately one of them kills the other. The other was the scene with the dogs tearing apart the slave.
Is there any need to put that kind of?
Well, let me ask,
in America.
I don't know. You find it offensive to both African Americans and white people. Why are you so put off by it?
I'm really put off by it.
Or do you just think it was unnecessary?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the whole film, that subject, was unnecessary. Not that one can't make certainly a film of a historical event or just a made-up event like The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, that kind of a thing. A very interesting spaghetti western. But that Quentin, wherever his reasons were, he took this particular story wherever he got it, and it has to do with the horror that was imposed on the slave by the white person, and then the reverse of the horror, so to speak, of the revenge, and how it went through the house with the head houseman. So I felt like this is American, and we should have anytime people want to have a conversation about racism, that's great. But I think that is playing on a desperate, sad story of America for the dollars, and he's doing.
I respect that, but I mean, the movie is. It's cartoonish. I mean, don't you think perhaps you're taking it a little too seriously?
Oh, I really enjoyed the way he shot it. I really enjoyed the actors. I love Samuel Jackson, and of course Django. I love Fox. No, he could have. He by doing this, I think he shows very little respect for a movie subject that is watchable by the American public.
He does do.
They're watching it.
He does do sort of a cheap Hollywood trick. I will agree with you to this degree. We make the bad guys so reprehensible, cartoonishly reprehensible, so that when the quote good guys kill them or take them out or maybe even torture them, then we like sort of root for the good guys. It's sort of a cheap.
You mean the good guys? You mean Fox?
Fox, yeah. and Christopher Waltz, who's the German bounty hunter.
Yeah. And that was the story of him going to regain his woman is wonderful.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx, Django. That was wonderful. Now, on just an interesting part of the movie that I thought was really good was when all the dog eating was over with, and the butchering and the killing and the shooting in the head of all the black people, the slaves. They got into the house, and all of a sudden Samuel Jackson came into that movie.
Samuel Jackson.
And he was marvelous.
He really was marvelous. And we talked about this before. Pulp Fiction would be a pretty good movie without Sam Jackson. With Samuel Jackson, it's a great movie. I think it's the same here. I mean, I think he really...
He brought it up a level.
He brought it up to another level.
Yeah.
And Samuel Jackson in the film plays Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio is a despicable, racist slaveholder.
But Samuel is his house.
But Samuel is his chief house Negro, or N-word, as they say in the film. Right. He runs the house. And you don't see him, I think, till the last 40 minutes of the film. And to me, when he's introduced into the film really gets much more interesting.
When he walked out on that porch and he was halfway bent over with that gray hair.
Right, and he's
and he was so mouthy.
You see. I thought his relationship with Leonardo DiCaprio. He's Leonardo DiCaprio's slave. And you disagree with me on this, but I thought there was actually a genuine affection between those two characters.
Affection.
Okay.
Other than the fact that the house man wants to continue with his position of power. He wants to stay there.
You agree that he runs the house. That Sam Jackson's character. He runs
the house, but there's always in that year, in those days, there was always, now don't do that, and they stopped. There's always that.
Right,
so
but
power is within Leonardo.
But there was a great scene.
And he has to always be subservient.
He's smart, yes, but he's smarter than Leonardo DiCaprio. He's a
Yeah.
smarter character. And what I thought, because you go into the film, and I didn't see this coming, you go into the film thinking, okay, good guy's Jamie Foxx, bad guy's Leonardo DiCaprio. And as the film unfolds, you realize, no, it's not DiCaprio. He's really not that clever. It's more Sam
Right.
Jackson.
Right,
Sam
he's not that
Jackson's
clever.
the real antagonist. And I thought that was brave. I thought that was brave
of who?
and imaginative of Quentin Tarantino to say, okay, the good guy's black, and really at the end of the day, the bad guy's black too. You know,
Well, he
in this
wasn't,
film.
I don't see where you can come up with what's his name, Samuel Jackson.
Samuel
as the bad
Jackson
guy. He was
was
doing what, in the year, what they do. They had to do what they needed to do to complement the house, the farm.
But he had tremendous power.
He had good power.
He had tremendous
but as
power,
you,
and
as
he
you know,
used it.
as you read the books of yesteryear, you'll see, of course, where the Mammy has the power, the Peter,
Uncle
of the
Peter.
Hamilton family.
Yeah.
So they have the power,
But
but they
I-
don't have the final word.
I agree with you. to
Although
some
in this
degree.
case,
I agree, but having said all
Yeah.
this discussion about power and preserving your power and so on and so forth, I really believe that Tarantino was doing a reflection of the relationship between Scarlett and Mammy in Gone with the Wind. You don't agree with me?
no, I do not.
He took that and he basically gave a mirror image of sorts in a much darker film between Leonardo DiCaprio and Samuel Jackson. I think there was a genuine affection between those two.
Well, that's okay for you. That's okay. It's fair for you to say that, and I totally disagree. I think it was
Now,
submarine.
they were two reprehensible characters.
No, I
agree.
don't mean that. I think the houseman was actually less reprehensible. I think he was doing what he had to do, what he felt he had to do, and he was maintaining his position. And when he does that overlording all the people who work on that plantation. That's how it worked. But back on the movie, I think the movie was very offensive in its theme, in its underbelly. But I thought it was really a well-made movie, and it's doing I think pretty good box office.
I thought it was a well-made movie. I don't take it as seriously as you did. I mean, he likes to use that as historical backdrop, but I went in with a much lighter attitude than you.
Yeah.
Overall, I think it's a
You
good
mean you
film.
came out with a lighter attitude? I went in with a light attitude, and I came out with a.
I went in with very low expectations. I went in to jeer, came out and cheered.
But you liked it much better than *Inglourious Basterds* when the Jews were after the Nazis.
Right, that's a little simplistic, but no, it's a better film. It works
Okay.
better. It works better.